how does utilizing seller financing as a second career work? Stand by. Welcome to this week's edition of NoteSchool, where we go live every Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time. And you know what we do at NoteSchool? We show people how to close more deals. That's what we're all about at NoteSchool. So thanks again for being here. We have some great guests today who've been in the real estate industry for quite a while. And so let's do three things for me here. Number one, make sure and like what you see. And so hit that like button. Subscribe. If you have not already subscribed to NoteSchool TV, make sure you do that as well. Guys, we are coming up here in just a few short weeks on our 100th episode. So we'll have to do something special for that. And then make sure and hit that bell notification so that you will be notified every Wednesday right before we go live. When? At 11:05 Central Time. Hey guys, you guys have been very good the last few weeks about sending in your comments. Thanks so much for doing that. Put your comments in, ask questions, and go to noteschooltv.com or noteschool/TV. Okay, so make sure you hit us up there. And well, let's go to our news segment this week. We have a lot going on, and wow, what is the elephant in the middle of the room? Well, I can tell you that it is none other than affordability. So we are seeing a lot of that. We just had Wall Street Journal just reported that U.S. housing affordability in June, now these are the latest stats that are out, and it's the worst since 1989. So latest data shows that June was the most expensive in 30 plus years. Yeah, it's happening, right? National Association of Realtors affordability rate was the lowest, well, like I said, since June of 1989. Also reports that existing sales have declined 5 straight months. Typical payments have risen to $1,994 a month from $1,297 this year in 2022. So it's a lot going on out there. And then we have the latest stats on mortgage credit availability. This is, well, how easy it is to get a loan. And you will see that it has dropped to the lowest point, well, since late 2012. So we are at 108.8. We have been following this really for a couple of years now. And if you look right in here in 2019, 2020, we were right about here, which was in the 118, and it has dropped more to 108.8. What that simply means is that it is much more difficult for folks to go back out and get a loan to buy a house, right? Lenders are, well, they're tightening their belts, they're laying off folks, and their products are less than they were, their loan products. So, yeah, mortgage credit availability. What does that mean for us? Well, at NoteSchool, where we teach you how to close more notes, right? This is a great thing for us, and we've talked about that, and we'll talk about that a little more as we go through today's episode. So without any further ado, I want to introduce our founder, our chief visionary officer, my friend, Mr. W. Eddie Speed.
Hello, Joe.
Good morning, sir. Yeah, mortgage credit availability
has got my phone ringing off the hook. Real estate investors are trying to figure out how to utilize creative financing.
Yes.
To make a deal affordable when conventional lending isn't making it affordable. And so that's a really fun time. And our guest today is, we have two guests, man and wife, but one of our guests today is a long veteran in the real estate business. And the other one of our guests so he made Notes his new career within real estate. Yes. And then his wife she made Notes a brand new career that she had never done before. And guess what? They see that this affordability and this creative financing is the timing of that is pretty unbelievably critical in the market today. So more to come, Joe, and we're going to talk with them and talk about that. And we're approaching the end of the month here pretty soon next week. And not next week, week after, but we have so much information in such a changing market, and we're going to continually try to bring that to you and talk about it. And let's talk about our guests this week, Joe.
Yeah, these two guys, Paul and Becky Krimmer from Cincinnati. Gosh, we met Paul again here in 2000. We'd met him earlier, right? And then we met him again at a class we did in Cincinnati, a live class, right? Back in 2019, and got to break some bread with him. And then he brought Becky on board just recently, and she was just at a live event, Summer Summit we did. And you know, it's been a great ride for them, and I can't wait to hear you and them bring out their stories.
I'm excited. Let's bring them on. Paul and Becky Krimmer. How are you guys?
How you doing, guys?
Good. How are you?
We're great. We are glad you're here today. You are, both of you are an inspiration to a lot of people. Paul, you're a veteran real estate investor, a real estate broker, rehabber, owned a lot of rental property. And so you've done it all. And Becky, the cool part of your story is that you went and from a completely different field to enter this, which I think is pretty cool. That, you know, Paul had that vision of this, really, the timing of this was really critical to add this. So we're going to dig off into that a lot. And Joe, we're going to have a fun time with it, and we'll see you on the backside.
Yeah, sure. Listen, I want to just give you a little insight that Paul didn't share with you. You know, Eddie, actually, Paul's been in this business for so long, he helped Noah build the ark, actually.
And you have that across the river.
You do, right up there by where you live, and I want to go see that, by the way.
See you guys in a few minutes.
Yeah. So, Paul and Becky Krimmer, you guys are in the Cincinnati area. We've had many long friends in the business. And Paul, you and I had encounters along the way. You did some training with NoteSchool, but you really didn't dive deep until, when was it, 2019 you joined?
2019, yeah. So I actually met you. I was in the REO field back years ago and met you in some of the seminars in 2008, 7.
Yeah.
You know, you guys were talking, trying to get that over. And in 16, I got with you through Equity Trust that you were doing I think a 2-day seminar on.
Yeah.
And I was looking to invest with Equity Trust, and then you had spoke about the notes, and that's when I joined your organization at that time in late 2015.
Well, it's funny, you know, like people will talk about, hey, I saw you this year, and then I saw you 7 or 8 years later, and the answer is you really dove in 2019, and I hope it goes without saying that you wish you'd have done it quicker.
Yes, pretty much so.
What were you looking for when you joined?
Well, I was looking for a way out that I didn't have to do the repairs on the rentals or, you know, the flipping of the houses. And I just wanted, you know, what you call mailbox money. Yeah. Something where, you know, it's no 3 T's. It was no toilets, trash, or tenants. Yeah. So it kind of intrigued me when I heard that back in the 3-day seminar you had here in Cincinnati over in Kentucky. Yeah. And that's what really sparked my interest. And I'm like, I got to pursue this more. And then with all your education online, you've done a fantastic job on it. Great education. Everything you want to learn is on your site. So that's when I got on board, and my wife, she just jumped on board, and we just went full force at it.
So I wanted to talk about that. So Becky, you came from, you had a couple of prior careers, right? One of them was the most important one in the world, which is being a mom. You guys are going to celebrate 30 years?
In November, yes.
That is awesome. Congratulations. Martha and my wife and I just celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary here not long ago. And so I can relate to the fact that it takes a big commitment from all parties to make that work, right?
Can I tell you a story on that, Ed?
Congratulations to you and Martha as well.
So when I was in sheet metal work, and we're going to go way back. We're going to go back in the 90s. Okay. When I met her in
Just
the
for a
1990s. So I was in sheet metal as a fabricator, and I was already in real estate. I got in real estate in 87. So I was already buying property, flipping it, learning the whole basic operation of how everything goes. So I was already in it when we met. In 92, we were married November 21st. In 92, I quit my job November 4th to get in real estate full time.
Yeah.
And she told me, she says, "What are you doing?"
No, I did not. I said, I believe in you, and let's do this. Yeah.
Well, I've been in it ever since. So,
well, it's I think for all of us, and Becky, that my wife Martha works not so much in NoteSchool and Colonial, but certainly works and involved in the business, and is really an expert in utilizing notes for retirement strategies and legacy strategies. So I appreciate the relationship, and I'm so glad that, you've come on. And so I guess I would ask you, Becky, like, okay, now that, Paul's been in real estate for years, and really around 2019, he sort of jumped the fence and says, okay, I'm going to add another dimension to my business, which is this whole creative financing strategies, right?
Right.
And what intrigued you to come on?
Well, I've been in education since about 2013. And with COVID and everything else, I have just decided not to go back as this school year of August. So I just know there's deals out there, and with your resources, and so helpful, and the organization. And I just decided to get more involved because I know this is what our future entails and holds.
Well, Paul, I want to talk a little bit about, when you joined the community, like there were some obstacles. There were some things that you were sort of trying to reposition your life to do. What were those?
Well, I was trying to reposition of getting out of the REO side of the business and trying to manage the rentals, but just trying to learn the whole concept of the creative financing. Yeah. The paperwork, once you learn how to do the paperwork and analyzing the deal, that was the key for me. Is once you learn how to do it, you can pretty much learn a whole bunch, and then bringing it to the table with the weekly calls with you. That shows a lot that you're there for all the students out there that want to learn.
Well, I love doing it. Becky, like you, I came from a school teaching family. My mother was a first grade school teacher for, I don't know how long, 35 plus years. I have two sisters that were school teachers. And so I come from that background. I'm not officially a school teacher, but I guess I am, right?
Right.
And I like doing it. And it's been such a fun thing. I can't believe that, when I started the note business, I couldn't believe that I could have ever found anything as fun as notes. Paul, you talk about kind of the grind of flipping houses and managing rentals. Was that kind of, you were just looking for a different lifestyle? You were looking for something to take up your day that wasn't quite so stressful? That's
correct. Yes. I enjoy, me, I enjoy doing that work, but now as I'm getting older, it's getting a wear and tear on your body. So I still like doing it, but I could probably do it on the background, but I'd rather do the notes and not have to worry about, the people or, the organization, trying to set up the deals and doing all the work and nowadays it's dealing with the contractors, finding the right people to do the work. Mm-hmm. That's the big key. Is a lot of people do not know how to do the work correctly. And that's why I get into the business and I do it, because I know how to do it, but I'm trying to phase out of that.
Well, you're gifted that you're good at fixing things, and you're very competent and careful and meticulous. And I wish I could hire you to fix everything that ever went wrong in my life, on a piece of property, because you are so meticulous. But, I've been after you, and I'm saying you can make a lot more with this than you can a hammer, right?
Exactly. You've been saying it for years.
And that's what I've been telling him too.
And not that you can't. And, I'll just share with the audience. I've told you this. I said, Paul, you can do charity work and you can build houses for Habitat for Humanity, But come Monday morning, when you're trying to make a living, you need to be holding a lot more of this, because it's going to be good to you a long time in the future. It's not, it's commendable that you're willing to work so hard, right? I mean, it's a tribute to who you are. But Becky, you've helped me out there, and I appreciate that. And we've had some good conversation. You know, I think this story today it's a life story. It's about how do you take somebody that's been in real estate forever, and Paul, look at it and think, what in the world did you have to learn, right? After as seasoned as you were, what could somebody possibly teach you that you didn't already know? What is that?
Right.
But creative financing became something that was to some degree a whole new field for you, right?
Yep, exactly. And I'm loving it every day. I'm trying to learn every day something.
And he's teaching me as I'm learning. So it's really good.
Well, and Becky, I appreciate you are participating with us. And so I think that the educational stuff that we do, it accelerates that knowledge, right? Sometimes when somebody comes to NoteSchool, and Paul, you can relate to this, we've learned a lot, but we've also learned some bad habits.
Yes.
Right? We can always learn new habits. But in your case, Becky, you're not having to relearn habits, because you're coming there and you're giving us a chance to kind of formulate your thinking quicker, right? Because you haven't done it one way for 10 years or 20 years or whatever the case may be. So we're going to do a little break right now. We're going to have a word from our sponsor. Paul, this is essentially how you got started with us, is a little form of education to start looking at deals and looking at the market. And this market thing right now is a big deal. And what does that look like? And we come back, I want to talk about what some real deals are looking like in the direction of your family business.
Well, hello, everyone. It is Brian with the teaching team here at NoteSchool, and I'm excited that I get to be the one to invite you to the upcoming Gold in Notes class. That's right. It is a one-day deeper dive class that we call Gold in Notes because of how valuable this time spent is. This is a full day that we really get to dig into the nitty-gritty, the whole world of creative financing, not just how to acquire more deals, how to get access to more capital, how to defer a lot of the taxes for us as well as for the sellers that we're talking to, and really learn how to create your own notes. And really, once you learn how to create your own notes, this is really where we spend an entire afternoon really pulling back the curtain on what the note business is, from wholesaling notes, buying and holding performing notes to really build your wealth. I'll even show you a strategy called partials, which is by far the best wealth building tool I've ever seen in the real estate space. And we're definitely going to spend some time talking about non-performing notes, which is by far the biggest opportunity in today's marketplace, solely because of the events that have happened over the past couple of years. This is when people are not paying their mortgages, and we're going to make a lot of big money from these bad debts, and we're going to help a lot of people get a second chance. It's an absolutely fantastic day. Come spend a day really digging and discover a lot of this stuff so that you too can start building your wealth. It's a day meant to really be engaging. Bring your questions, bring your comments, bring your business problems, and we will see you there.
Welcome back, everybody. We have today Paul and Becky Krimmer. They are from the Cincinnati, Ohio area. And as you've heard us in the first part of the show, Paul came to NoteSchool with a heck of a lot of real estate experience. And Becky, you came to NoteSchool with not so much.
That's correct.
And the thing I love about what I think we've tried to do at NoteSchool is we tried to make it home in wherever you're at, to ascend people higher, right? And so we get to train some really savvy folks. And then as you've heard me talk about, Becky, my kids go to NoteSchool. And if it's not good enough for my kids, it's not good enough for beginner training. So I appreciate the fact that Paul had confidence in kind of bringing you in. And hopefully we have filled in a lot of gaps quickly for you. I think that's our mission. Let's talk about doing deals. Paul, talk about a deal that you might have recently done and what that's looked like.
Well, I did a deal that I bought a couple years ago. Actually, I kind of wanted to get into the business where I'm still in that situation where I got to touch and feel the house. I still got to be close to what I'm buying. So it's only a few hour drive, you know, and I know you talk about moving out to other areas, and that's kind of difficult for me right now, but I'll work through that. But the deal that I did, it was actually 35 minutes away from me. It was a little small house, 1 bedroom, had a nice little lot on the side. I purchased that from Notes Direct through your website, Notes Direct. You had all the information there. I looked at all the files, and it was pretty much my learning property at that time. So I bought it for 27. Let's see, I purchased that one for 22,750.
Okay.
The note, I think the unpaid balance at the time was, I think it was like 29, and it worked its way down to 27.3. Well, just recently, I was using Ally, or I was using another servicer. It wasn't Allied. I forgot who it was, but they went ahead and sent a letter to me saying they had a payoff. So I guess the guy was going to sell the property. So he wound up selling the property to an end buyer, and they paid off the loan. Was $27,300. So I made that difference of $22,750 from 27, which was like $4,500. I don't even know what the calculation was, and then during that time for 24 months, I collected, after the fees from the servicer, I collected $205 a month. So you just add that in, 24 months plus that fee, I got like 40% return on my money. You can't do that in the bank.
So you invested $22,000. You got a cash flow of almost
200.
Well, about $2,800 a year.
Yeah. Yes.
And then you got that for a couple of years. So that's in, 5,500 range or something about like that. Plus you only paid 22 for the note and it paid off at 27. Then you did pretty good on a small investment.
Very small. Very small. It was just a practice. I knew I wasn't going to lose a lot of money if it did have to go to foreclosure. I could handle that. So that was my first really property that I thought I could do. And since
so you mentioned, buying notes that aren't necessarily in your backyard. So you bought something that was enough driving distance away. But let me ask you a question, Paul. Was there any reason that you ever needed to be near that property?
No, not at all.
It could have been in Oregon and it wouldn't have made any difference.
No.
So that's why we say that. But
Right.
once again, we have a lot of people that come into the Note School lineage and they're very accustomed to the real estate style of farming. You're working a certain area. And so, I bet you next time it's not quite so hard for you to, turn it loose and not be so geographically structured,
Yeah. That's what we're working on.
Yeah. So our next,
It's funny. See, she doesn't have that habit, Paul.
I know.
You have, I know, listen, my wife finds lots of habits I need to break. Listen, I want to talk to both of you about what's the direction here? Like obviously the market, you see the market being very kind to us in the creative finance world. What does that mean? Where does that go? What are you doing this for? Like beyond making current money, where does this take your life?
Well, it's traveling. She's always in school, during the winter times. And, I was always working on something and getting away. When I was in the REO side of the business, I would get away, but it was always something going on that I had to attend to all the time. I don't want to worry about that anymore. I just want to be able to go for a week, and not worry about a phone call, or 2 weeks. Really, I think between me and her, we have never, ever took a vacation for more than 2 weeks. It's mostly been a week. I would love to be gone for a month.
You want your time back.
I want my time back. And I'm getting older too. So we want our time back.
And not the repairs that you talked about. Our whole marriage, we've done the rental property. So, I know he knows how to do the work, but Eddie, we've talked about this, about, the pen and what we can do with the notes, and will free us up from the rentals. And we hope to make this a family business. Our son is a junior in college and he's in business school and wants to do the real estate. So.
Well, as you know, I come from a lineage of people in the business and family background. My father-in-law, and I got my dad in the business. I got my dad in the business at 68 years old. And he was in real estate. And he must have told me, my dad passed away in his 80s. My dad must have told me thousands of times before he passed away, son, I've loved this more than anything I've ever done. And so I think it's, I didn't invent the note business, right? I'm not taking credit for what the note business does. I just got lucky and found it early. Paul, you found it a lot later.
Yes.
Becky, you found it even slightly later yet.
Yes.
And so, so I love the idea of Paul, you and I have had a lot of heart to hearts about managing stuff, not being able to travel, being tied to the property, that type of thing. And God gave you that high work ethic, but we have to manage that, don't we, with our lifestyle.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm so happy for you, because you can do this essentially from anywhere if you had to go do some little something. And it is something, when that mailbox money's coming in, you didn't really have to do anything to that note, did you, that was making a payment every month, did you?
Nope. I didn't have to touch anything.
And you had to figure out where to deposit the money.
Not account.
And then obviously I'm excited to hear about your son, and that I've got young men that in my family that are coming into this business, and same thing. It means a lot to me that I say that this business is the kind of business you would want your kids to inherit. Would you want them to inherit grinding on those rent houses, Paul?
Yes. No. I do want them to learn how to fix things.
Yes.
And I stress to them all the time that the youngest one right now won't listen to me if I ask him, hey, let me show you. He's like, oh, no, I don't want to. But then when his car breaks down, I have to go fix it. So I say, no, you figure it out, and then you let me know. But, I still go do it, just to show him. But I still want to teach them that aspect. So if I do get older and I can't do the work, then they know how to do the work and not hire it out. But I do want to teach them the aspect that I'm learning right now.
Well, you have been throughout their whole lives teaching them hard work ethic by what you're doing. Yeah. And they do help us with the rentals as far as the clean outs and that type of thing. So they know what hard work means. That, this is a different aspect that they need to learn.
Yeah, it's funny. So I came along at a point in my father-in-law's life, because my father-in-law had managed rentals very much like you, Paul. He was a fireman and worked every other day. When he wasn't being at the firehouse, he worked on those rentals and did all that stuff. And at this point in my life that I kind of came along, and Martha, my wife, and I started dating, and I got involved and worked for him essentially as an apprentice in the business. And his body sort of wore out. Like, he physically couldn't do it.
Right. And
then he really became focused on explaining to me. He says, Eddie, you'll never make a lot of money wiping sweat. Now, that may not be 1,000% true, because some things have an incredible payday that involves physical work. But he was really saying, I want to fast forward you to something that is better than just me physically doing it. So learning to go work and fix things and all those things are a great building lesson. And I totally am in agreement with you on that. But just to see you bringing, your kids along and saying, hey, I want to show you how to, structure deals and close more deals because you understand creative financing and all those aspects. I think you're giving a big boost up. I really do.
Well, I just wish somebody back then would showed me how to do stuff. I pretty much learned on my own at 21 years old, how to do everything by an old hardware store, and got a book out and read it and figured out how to do electric and, all the other stuff. But I want to teach them that at this age. I don't know if they're still young at it. They just don't want to learn yet. But well, I guess we'll see in a couple of years and see how that goes. But I do want to bring them to one of the conventions that you hold every year, just to let them see how it all works, and hopefully that will spark their interest.
That's cool. Note Expo, first weekend in November. Bring them. We'll be thrilled to have them. Joe, come on here with us. These guys have a great story. I love the family aspect of it.
Yeah, I do too. And Paul, when you were talking there and about, and Becky, you were saying you bring the boys over and help them, do the clean outs and so on. They may have went, but I know from personal experience, when my dad would drag me over to do that, I sure as heck didn't like doing it.
Yeah, there's been times they haven't either, but it's only business.
Yeah, so we can go out and ride the go-kart after we get the house cleaned out, right?
Yeah.
And we're all about the same age. Well, we're all older than Becky, so I'll say that. But I grew up hearing the old saying that time is money, and as you start to get a little bit older and wiser, you realize that time is a whole lot more valuable. And I was thinking about what you were saying what you were saying a minute ago about just not taking a vacation because taking it, but you're on the phone constantly, right? And that's what this does for you. I like the idea. We predate ourselves when we say mailbox money, because really, when these notes are serviced, we don't even have to go to the mailbox, right? They just wire the money into our checking account.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks so much. It was great seeing you guys back at Summer Summit last month, and we'll see you again in November, I'm sure.
Well,
We're already booking our trip, and then we're going to stay a week, and then we're going to leave out for a week and go to Florida.
There you go.
Very good. Yeah, we've got Lois and Cindy are coming to Florida. We may have breakfast on Friday morning. So yeah.
We're in the Clearwater, so we're going to go down there, and maybe we'll come up and see you.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay.
Well, guys, thanks so much for being with us this week on the edition of NoteSchool TV, where, every week we try to teach you guys how to close more deals with seller financing, creative financing, and we are certainly entering a time with all the stuff that's going on in the market. Whatever it is, we know that we have that light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train coming at us, right? We have the light at the end of the tunnel, which says creative financing is what will carry us through the next, couple of years or whatever it's going to be, whether it be creative financing or non-performing loans. So guys, thanks again. Again, more information, keep the comments coming as well. NoteSchool.com/TV, and we will see you on the other side. Bye now.